All right, were you happy to say goodbye to 2016, Tony? Are you excited about what's coming now in the new year?
Sure, why not? We're going to take a look at the latest poll numbers that show what Americans are thinking as the calendar flips to 2017. We'll be right back.
Look at me, I'm happy.
All right, how many of you made New Year's resolutions? And the question is, do you feel good heading into 2017?
Well, recent polls have revealed what Americans think about the country as we welcomed the new year. Cliff Young is president of Ipsos Public Affairs, and he's here to break down all the latest numbers. Hi there, Cliff. Good to see you.
Oh, it's great to be back.
Let's talk, first of all, about what percentage of Americans feel good about where the country's going, what we're doing, and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, headed into 2017, Americans don't feel very optimistic. Indeed, when asking them the simple question, is America on the right or wrong track, 58% of Americans say it's on the wrong track.
Wow.
That's pretty high, and it doesn't vary across party lines. Republicans, Democrats, and Independents think all the same thing. And understanding that data point, we can really understand the election and why Donald Trump won.
Let me ask you, so, I mean, as we're looking at that, we're looking at a new administration coming in. You know, what are people most concerned about as we head into 2017?
Yeah, and then the question is, okay, so I don't like where America's going. What am I worried about? And they're mostly worried about jobs and the economy. Indeed, if you combine the two, 30% of Americans' top issue are worried about that issue specifically. The second issue is healthcare and terrorism, both at 14%. So they're really worried about jobs and the economy, and they're really focused on domestic issues.
All right. President Obama, his approval rating was pretty high relatively recently. Where does he stand now as he leaves office?
Yeah, he ticked down a bit, but he's above 50, and that's a great place to be for a lame duck president. He leaves the presidency, at least from approval standpoint or perspective, in a pretty good place. Obviously, the big question is, where's Donald Trump and where's he going, right?
Okay, yeah. Well, speaking of that, where does Donald Trump stand and where does Mike Pence stand in terms of favorability?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, well, Donald Trump has improved since the elections. I mean, at the height of the election, right at the end, he only had 35% favorability scores. That's ticked up to 50. That's a good place.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah, I think Americans, not all of them, obviously, only 50% favorability, but Americans are saying, listen, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He is my president. Let's see what happens. That said, if put into historical context, he's not doing very well. Indeed, at the same time, Obama was at 83%. Bill Clinton was at 68%, and George Bush was at 61%. So while he improved, he's lagging behind these other presidents.
Sure. It's good percentage-wise from where he was.
Right.
Let me ask you this. You know, polls. First of all, I think we've seen in November that polls could mean nothing in terms of what's actually going on with the populace. However, let's talk a little bit about Trump and poll numbers. Is it going to be harder to get accurate poll numbers on Trump in terms of favorability, how people are feeling? Because he's very active on Twitter, social media, and people, it's very immediate stuff, and people respond to that immediately.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. The question is, how do we assess Trump? And indeed, he's always out there. He's reacting to news. He creates the news, right? But I think the number one thing we should look at looking forward are approval ratings, presidential approval ratings. Those are very robust measures. They do a very good job of giving a relative sense of where things are. As a pollster, I tend not to pay attention to what happens day to day in terms of the news cycle, in terms of Twitter and social media. I really have to look at the numbers. And right now, if you take favorability as a standard of where he is, he's doing pretty well, but not as well as he could be doing.
Hey, Cliff, last but not least, what other sort of poll, or what will you be looking at here as we head into 2017?
Well, I think key is, and it wasn't in the poll that we're sharing with you today, which is our weekly poll that we do with Reuters, but basically there's another data point that's super interesting. So while Americans are not happy about where the United States is going long term, they're pretty happy about their personal situation.
Oh, okay.
Indeed, if you look at since the Great Recession, we're at the highest point in terms of consumer confidence since that point of time. Indeed, unemployment rates are as low as since the Great at the lowest point since the Great Recession.
Mm-hmm.
And so the issue is we really have to separate politics from the economics, and I'll be looking at both. Approval ratings on the one hand of the government and consumer confidence on the other, and consumer confidence is booming right now.
All right. Cliff Young, Happy New Year. It's always great to have you in to talking about the latest polls and see
Well, it's great to be back.
On.
It's been some time. I did make my New Year's resolutions, though.
You said you did?
I did.
Okay, well, we don't have time to hear
It's
them
no
all.
different than anyone else's. So
Give us one.
One.
I had to lose weight, of course, right?
Well,
Yeah.
you and me both.
Yeah, and exercise.
Very
you and
good.
me both again.
We wish you well, Cliff. Thanks
Okay,
so much
thank you.
again.
Bye-bye.
All right.
All right.